those are my nuts. His nuts are my nuts.
These nuts are your nuts. These nuts are my nuts.
Mine don't do anything anymore. I've got to find some that will do something. That's how that works. Loaded shells.
Did they at least give them back to you, or are they in like a little jar?
No, they never took them from me. They just did things to them then
just tied them back, tied them
and
up,
handed them back to me.
Oh,
and if I
cauterized,
hold certain things in certain positions, I can feel changes that were made, edits that were made inside.
Yep, that's good. That's good. Yeah. I'm good.
Come on, Brant, join me.
Good.
I'm fine. Everything's fine. I'm good.
Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, well, here we are. Cesar says clothing is required. Nothing else is off the table, though.
Everything's up in the air.
Yeah. Welcome to the Southeast premier video game and fertility podcast. We are No Outside Food or Drink. That's, of course, not the intro. Whew, we got news pulled up.
Yep.
I mean, we're the Southeast premier Helldivers podcast at this point, right? Renee's here.
Horrible news.
Does the news all suck? No. It ends on a high note. Yeah, no, two high notes.
Yeah, I tried the first bit of news we'll get into, and I'll even mention the other part of that happened today.
It's bad.
Like a few hours ago.
And Cesar and I have been chatting about it on and off with I sent y'all that Matt Piscatella thread and stuff, but I just don't know where this leaves us. I don't know where we're going overall. I don't know what things have to hit
People are talking about
anymore.
If it's going to be like another video game crash, but I don't know.
I mean, they make so much money. It's just what's at the top of that amount that's a struggle.
I think I don't know. I think just the overall economy's got to get better because people are choosing between their entertainment or buying groceries nowadays.
Yeah, that was one of Matt Pescatello's arguments
to get to their job. Yeah. So it's like, I can't spend $500 on a new console and a VR headset. And
friend of the show, Russell, just did all three of these things
$70
in one day
per game.
$70 per game. That's the damning thing. And we've had great games recently coming out at like $40 a piece. So maybe we have a trend. Maybe we have something starting up, going the other direction.
I know whenever it's these games that just catch on and are phenoms, it's...
Weisha's here, heard that. The groceries are killing you?
I mean, you have the big ones. I mean, like, everybody talks about Legend of Zelda. Everybody is going to talk about GTA, things like that. But
yeah,
these big phenoms that have just come around, like Helldivers right now, and Lethal Company, and it's these like smaller little...
Oh yeah, Lethal Company. I forgot about that.
Just fun games that you can pick up and play with your friends.
Yeah. We're still in the pre-show. We gotta get to that argument in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
You ready? We got 6 people here.
Trying to
thank you for joining us.
Everything I needed to pull up.
Cesar, look what started this week. Brant, I know you don't partake.
A PBR?
Brant at least knows the cultural reference, the cultural significance.
My father may enjoy a PBR from time to
time.
There
we go. Same. Weisha's out. Weisha's gone. Thanks, Winks. Thanks, Weish, for joining. We needed you temporarily. You can be gone until episode 295.
Where are you?
Christmas.
There it is. I just needed that portion right there.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the NOFODcast. We are No Outside Food or Drink, the Southeast premier video game podcast. This is episode 294. 294 appearances. Buish says his appearances cost more nowadays. You've never been cheaper than ever, Buish. Welcome to the 294th edition of your cheapness. The Southeast premier video game and Helldivers podcast. I'm going to claim we're the premier Helldivers podcast at this point. We've streamed Helldivers for 7.
The Hellcast.
The Hellcast. Welcome to the Hellcast. I feel like we've streamed Helldivers at least 5 to 6, maybe 7 straight days.
Yeah.
Is this our streaming goal? Are we going to hit our streaming goal with Helldivers?
I guess.
There's a good chance. Oh, friend of the show, Russell's killing us on. He's trying to bring us straight into it instead of
Hellcast and Hellgast, baby.
Oh, Brant brought it full circle.
Let's get it.
Why are we the Hellcast? Hellcast.
We'll also stream Ride to Hell. What are some other ones that have hell in the title?
Hellblade. Senua's Sacrifice. Yeah, we got a Hellblade 2 coming out. Wasn't there a PS3 game like Ride to Hell or Damnation Hell's Ride or something?
Yeah.
Like it's a critical darling. It's not a critical darling. It's a cult classic.
It's a terrible game.
It's a
terrible
I
game.
heard it's horrible.
Yeah.
I think we'll stick with Hellgast. Tonight's PlayStation layoffs. What a horrible way to start the news. Okay, Buish says no FUD divers, so that might be pretty good too. No outside food or drink divers. Or is that no outside food or drink ivers? That's pretty good too. New unofficial 3DS application, ? More compatibility coming to PlayStation VR 2. What does that mean? Backwards compatibility? Cesar, are you in? Cesar, are you in for back? No. Brant, spoilers. Cesar says thumbs up. And new Pokemon Legends game announced, amongst other things. I'm one of your hosts, Richard Bergman, joined by fellow Helldiver and newsmaster Brant McKee.
Yes, y'all. I saw y'all playing it, and
The news?
just had to go buy it.
You saw us playing the news?
The Hell of the Divers.
Brant, this is some background lore. You actually fucked up because Cesar and I were within maybe 30 minutes of both ponying up $20 to send you to get Helldivers.
I started watching your stream, and like 5 minutes in, I said, "Let me go check the goddamn price." And I tried to pull it up on the app. It didn't. It just has purchase or whatever on the app. I came in here, booted up. I'm like, it's $40. Screw it. Let's do it.
We talked back and forth, and we played a couple rounds, and I was like, we need more people. It's just the two of us. We got to get Brant. Brant has it. I don't know if he seemed interested. It's $20 a piece if we just pitch in and like gift him a copy. Would he be?
No.
And then you said no. Then you send us a picture of you downloading it. Here he comes.
Yep.
All right. That other voice you heard was our resident lore master and page master and fellow Helldiver, Cesar Concepcion II.
I'm getting ready to buy Battlefront, so on PS5.
Oh shit! Here we go.
Yeah.
All right. When is our discount run out? Because
Well, I think it's you got until the day before release. I think it's 10% off right now.
Okay.
So it's like $31.49 instead of $34.99.
we've been pressuring. I'm sure it's going to come up later in the show, but we've been pressuring friend of the show Russell, co-founder of NOFODcast, and really got us off the ground here and put in a solid 110-ish episodes. We wore him down on Helldivers. He saw enough content and tweets, and
I think he wore himself
he did
down.
wear himself down. He did it to himself. It was self-inflicted. We can take no credit. But he ended up pursuing a PS5 and for Helldivers. It wasn't God of War. It wasn't Spider-Man, even though we got a copy of Spider-Man with his. It wasn't Final Fantasy 16 or Rebirth or Remake. None of those. Helldivers 2. The little $40 game drove him to PS5 acquisition. How to segue from there? Mostly Helldivers, right? Was it going to be a Helldiver show?
Probably.
Probably so.
More
As
likely.
we rave about Helldivers. But as we were talking about it, and Russell starts catching on to the meta, I'm like, man, Brant really would really enjoy this game. And as soon as we're ready to pitch in and buy you a copy, here you are downloading a copy, and you're dropping in with us right after that. Hold on, guys, it's downloading 20 minutes. Here comes Brant. But first, before we get to the Helldivers content of the show, PlayStation layoffs. This comes from... This feels like the story of 2024, right? It's February 28th, which is the last day of February. There will not be another February day this year. This is it. And the show might post tomorrow on the 29th. But there's been so many layoffs this year. It's been nonstop. And there's some that aren't even in the news yet. Brant has a cutoff for the news and did not include the future layoffs that I guess we'll talk about next week.
No, I'm going to bring them up right now.
Okay.
I've got the numbers pulled up.
They're all similarly bad.
And this
'Cause
sucks ass.
just
I don't know. I got to thinking as we examine what video games are and what the industry is doing, and maybe we get some listener feedback and stuff, but some of this news is just, it's layoffs nonstop, or restructuring, or Blink no longer exists. Cesar sent me a thing earlier in the week about Studio Liverpool, which we're going to talk about, and the games that they came out with. Like, there's a whole bunch of SingStar content and PlayStation VR content, like really good PlayStation VR games. And the studio's just is folded. It's like, we hope that they get reassigned somewhere, so this creative talent somewhere, but they're just gone. And it's like the original Studio Liverpool, the Wipeout studio. They got rolled into Killzone people and Studio Cambridge and I guess whatever this became, and they're just not there anymore. All this talent is just is getting redistributed. Hopefully. Or were you gonna say though, Brant? You got to follow up to this one on the other closures, or
Yeah, so this, of course, is they're reevaluating how we operate as part of this decision. Sony is laying off 900 employees, and that's worldwide, as you said. That's going to go and impact Insomniac, Naughty Dog, Guerrilla, Fire Sprite, and as you said, London Studios is being closed completely.
yeah.
The news broke just a few hours ago about EA is laying off some 700 employees company-wide, or almost 700.
Including
5% of their workforce.
including Marcus Leto's studio, who was he was a Halo co-founder, and he went on to he was doing a Battlefield thing for EA. His whole studio, Ridgeline, has been folded into most of them.
Most of their stuff, most of that stuff is going to be directly involved in just Battlefield stuff.
Yeah.
They canceled we just mentioned, a Star Wars game, a classic Star Wars game that we're all really excited about, but Respawn had a first-person new Star Wars game coming out, and that's getting canceled.
What was that? Did we ever see anything from that? It's not like Star Wars 1313, but I guess you can.
It was a rumor was a Mandalorian game, is what the rumor was.
I guess you can throw it on that stack with 1313, right? Like a new Star Wars Bounty Hunter, maybe.
Yeah, I think. Because didn't I don't know. I think that was basically what that old 1313 game got kind of morphed into. It got canceled, and I think they used that I think they used that concept to start this game. But and then earlier this week, or over the weekend, I think it was, let me see, the 26th, that Supermassive Games laid off about 90 people.
Is that the Until Dawn people?
Yeah,
they got a new game coming out. It's a remake of Until Dawn. It's not good.
No, not Supermassive. They're not doing that game.
Not Supermassive? What is Supermassive?
They're
the Until Dawn people, but the remake is not being done by them. Yeah. I got you.
The remake is,
Supermassive got bought by somebody else instead of Sony. Remember, I forgot who they got bought
Right, that's why they were doing Man of Medan and all that other stuff. The Dark Pictures anthology.
Yeah, they got bought by Nordisk Film, which is like a
Sure.
movie type industry type of. They make films.
That makes sense for their content, right? That's what FMV should have been 30 years ago. Back to this original article. PlayStation Studios boss Herman Hulst has said the platform holder is reevaluating how we operate, quote, as part of its decision to lay off 900 employees worldwide. On Tuesday, Sony Interactive Entertainment announced a round of layoffs across its development studios, including Insomniac and Naughty Dog in the US and Guerrilla and Fire Sprite in the UK. PlayStation's London studio will close entirely. Insomniac, I know, made a note about it today that it seemed unexpected on Insomniac's side from the way that tweet was quoted. Commenting on the news, Hulse confirmed that the layoffs have also resulted in the cancellation of unnamed game projects, which almost certainly includes London Studios' online co-op game set in a fantasy London, which is kind of their jam. Getaway. What was the Getaway game? Blood and Truth for PSVR?
Yeah, Blood and Truth.
Quote, our goal at PlayStation Studios has always been to make the best games for PlayStation fans, and our global community of studios represent some of the most creative and talented teams within the gaming industry, Hulse wrote. PlayStation 5 is in its 4th year. That seems crazy. And we are at a stage where we need to step back and look at what our business needs. At the same time, our industry has experienced continuing and fundamental change which affects how we all create and play games. Delivering the immersive, narrative-driven stories that PlayStation Studios is known for at the quality bar that we aspire to requires a reevaluation of how we operate. Oh, coming from a place that likes the re-term, the reevaluation kind of sticks out to me. Continuing his quote, delivering and sustaining social online experiences, allowing PlayStation gamers to explore our worlds in different ways, as well as launching games on additional devices such as PC and mobile, requires a different approach and different resources. He continued, I'm not going to finish this quote. Blah, 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 blah.
We were talking about it last week, how they were, their stocks went down, their margins are, not where they want them, and they were looking at things to do, reevaluate, and try and rein everybody in and cut these costs where they can, and obviously this is what they've decided is what they can do is cut costs by laying off people, and I don't know if that comes from...
I hate that's the solution.
I know, but I don't know if that comes from the same area of how the tech industry as a whole saw all this bloat, like through the right before and right during the pandemic, and everybody just kept hiring people, and they
right. So this is like the countermeasure.
Had too much. Had too many people that and it just at this point everybody's kind of reevaluating and go, wait a minute, why do we have 10 20 people all doing this one thing when
reassess?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty in the game industry because what was the other thing that EA came out and said? They said that they were moving away from licensed IPs, so Star Wars was canceled. And somebody had mentioned that's concerning for somebody who just announced they're making a Black Panther and Iron Man game, which is also their licensed IP, which I guess would make sense why Disney spent all that money to invest in Epic Games for their licensed IPs.
Yeah.
So trying to put it all in one basket instead of spreading it out, because I'm assuming they're starting to see the market change.
I'm okay with that, and I'm sure EA is looking at their success from like Dead Space, right, from last year. I'm hoping.
But they did the Jedi Fallen Order games, and
I would not be
I
would not be surprised if that was their only Star Wars joint.
And that's the thing. I really enjoyed both of those games.
Mm-hmm.
The
They're
second
highly
game,
regarded, yeah.
The second game needed a little bit more ironing out. I think they released it just a tad too early, but I mean, it wasn't that bad. After a couple of months, they'd pushed some patches out, and it was pretty good. And they had literally just talked about a third one, and maybe even doing something different in that universe So I don't even know if we'll see any of that come to fruition. And then
the
redheaded
Jedi universe.
it was in its like extreme infancy. It hadn't even really been greenlit yet. But on the PlayStation side, they're full out like no go on a Twisted Metal revival that was going to be a live service game.
That sucks so bad.
Like it was in the pipeline too, which is weird considering we've had the show, which apparently somehow did better than expected. It's been renewed for a second season that they're working on now, and we've heard.
We said it was decent.
We've heard for.
We did not hate the Twisted Metal show.
Yeah, we've heard for like a year something about a Twisted Metal game, and they gave us that. What was that? That was Wreckfest on the PS5.
Yeah.
Months ago, that was just kind of like, yeah, this is a car thing. You know what? This probably would have worked better if you put guns and different things on the cars and made it a Twisted Metal game. It probably would have done a little bit better because it kind of faded right into the background. But I don't know. And you sent us, what was that thread you sent us earlier this week?
The Matt Piscatella stuff.
Yeah.
That was the most honest and clear summary of where gaming is these days. And I know we've talked about it before. Cesar's brought up like it's the top 2 or 3 live service games that rise to the top, and there's no middle area or separation. Like it either succeeds and it's one of those 2 or 3, or it's nothing. So it's Fortnite, it's Apex Legends, and it's Warzone. And maybe Halo Infinite with the backing of Microsoft is kind of a middle ground, but it's not in those top ones.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, but you have stuff that rise and fall, like Destiny and all that stuff, because Destiny was hot when it came out. And it's been falling for the last several years, it seems.
And now we're getting it for PlayStation Plus. I guess we'll talk about that next week. But
yeah. Brant mentioned, I mean, the part of this is course correction from the pandemic, because, I mean, if you go, like where I work at, they show a lot at CNBC. Right now, there's a lot, not just gaming, there's a lot of companies laying off right now.
There's a lot.
There are
a lot.
Yeah. It's not just tech is a micro example. It's a microcosm of that correction.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know we're a gaming podcast. We're probably going to hit that a little bit more on that part of that thing, but that's not the only thing that's getting cut.
Right.
Because I mean, what was it? I'll cut through here because we already know that Microsoft cut 1,900 positions. They had a high value fintech startup Brex laid off 20% of its staff. eBay slashed 1,000 jobs, 9% of this workforce. Amazon has limited hundreds of
1,000 people. 1,000 people. Think of 1,000 people
Twitch,
that you know that are losing their jobs.
Audible, and then Amazon was a huge one because Twitch, they're killing Twitch in South Korea. They said it was too expensive. So a lot of those streamers out there are trying to figure out how to make their money because they were making money off Twitch in South Korea and they can't do it anymore. They're pulling out.
We talked about Twitch a couple weeks ago, I think, and then now there's news about TwitchCon coming up this year, and it just feels off to look forward to whatever TwitchCon is going to bring or celebrate streamers, and then you're laying off all these people that are not. They're not just on the Twitch end of bringing in the revenue. They're part of that content creation and talent acquisition and all the other roles that are rolled up into making that Twitch engine go.
That CEO of Twitch has said that the days of those deals where they used to do the exclusive deals and all that stuff is gone. They don't do that anymore. So
what does that mean?
Are
we?
Because I think Kick right now is very big on it, and like, all right, I know the streamer is a great personality, so I'll make him exclusive to Kick.
Should we be on Kick?
Twitch is like the Twitch CEO is like he kind of alluded that they lost more money to Amazon, and they're kind of like putting up with them. He said the days for them of like trying to sign a big personality on Twitch to pull in viewers, to hope that you can distribute those viewers from that one big personality to other people on that platform.
So now the personality supporting the platform is equivalent to the game supporting the platform, right? Yeah. You have to have a ninja associated with your Fortnite to be the Fortnite associated with the platform. That's not a good business model.
It seems like more and more like Pokemon and Ninja are streaming across multiple services, kind of like how we're doing now. They're not
how we're doing.
They're trying to make sure they're trying to make sure they get their footprint out to as many people as they can as well. So like I was saying earlier, and we already talked about Unity. Unity laid off 25% of their staff. Discord laid off 17% of their workforce. I mean, I can go on. It just keeps going and going. Facebook laid off 20,000 jobs.
20,000. 20,000 people.
Yep. Then it's not. They said it's not just tech. It's not just tech. It's not just tech. It's Citigroup, the bank, cut 10% of the workforce. Levi Strauss, 10% of the workforce.
Citibank got a bailout 10 years ago. I have no pity or any sympathy for anything for Citibank. So, I do it for the employees, not for the corporation.
But yeah, so like it goes on and on. So I mean, it's always the saddest thing is the quickest way to save money is always cut labor.
Yeah.
So it's not the most unique or smart way of doing it, but it's always the one. Unfortunately, when you're a shareholder, to report value to your shareholders, that's the quickest way to do it. Unfortunately, so.
And did y'all see the Reddit thing going around where Jim Ryan was at the Liverpool studio?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was over there.
Jim Ryan? Is Jim Ryan losing any money? I know he's leaving, but Ryan, is he losing any money?
What's funny was that it's not funny, but what's interesting was that him and Herman were the ones that announced the cuts. So it was like he's out the door. He's like, all right, we're cutting these people.
Yeah, he's gone.
As he goes and visits and shakes hands and kisses babies.
Yeah. So they're like, hey man, do this one last favor for us and announce this bad news so that you can be the poster child for this. So he's like, whatever, man. He's going to be out in anyways. He's probably get a retirement plan and all that stuff. He's like, yeah, sure.
That's a corporation lesson. Cesar has mentioned many times over the many years of this podcast. These are companies. They're out to make money. And that's not just the consumer end. That's also the employee end. And that's the worst part of this. Like the people...
As many jobs as I work on corporations, and I've worked a lot of them where they explain to us, and they reiterate to us in every meetings, and I'm sure, Richard, you've been in some of them because you've been in retail, that how everything they do is for the shareholders.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, toughen up. The person next to you may not be here next week. So it's part of the chaos. So.
Or being told, like, you're a Nintendo store. There are way more Nintendo sales at this location than any others in the district, so this is how we're going to reorganize everything. And you have experience saying the otherwise, but the numbers to the higher ups say skewed across their numbers and their metrics and their districts or whatever. This is what works here.
So, yeah, like I said before, I know we're a gaming podcast with all the gaming stuff on there, but this is indicative of what the market is going right now. It seems like a lot of it's course correction from the pandemic, from what a lot of people are saying, because it's like what Brand mentioned. Then the pandemic happened. A lot of people were home. There was a lot of games played. Gaming was growing. Now, and as Brent mentioned before, people don't have as much money to spend on leisure activities. So they're picking and choosing. They're going out more. The movie industry is getting hurt too because streaming has killed the movie industry because its releases are staggered. So, not everybody goes to movie theaters. I mean, for economical reasons. I mean, you have whole families. It's cheaper to wait for it to come to streaming. Sometimes it comes to streaming too quickly. Physical media is on its way out because before there was a standard. It was always 6 months after the movie was in the movie theaters, you get on physical media, and then sometime after that it would be streaming along the same times. And all that whole thing has been changed. So you have a lot of these big budget movies that used to make billions of dollars. Now, a lot of it is that some of their content has dropped because they hit a machine where they're just pumping out the same thing over and over again, and people are catching on. But some of this stuff is not, making money like it used to. So you have the movie industry that's trying to reformat. They've been doing it a little bit before the gaming one, but the gaming one seems to be doing the same thing. Where you see the gaming doing a lot of safe sequels, safe remakes. I mean, how many times we're going to see Candyman in a freaking movie theater? How many times are going to sit there and do a reimagining that movie? So I'm like, they're like, oh, and even that's starting to burn out because like the Fast and the Furious, Fast X, the 10th Fast and the Furious movie that series is finally starting to lose steam, not make money. They didn't make the budget on that one. They got one more movie to finish out that whole saga.
Paul Walker.
Yep.
So like I said, it's interesting now for entertainment because it's like I said, a lot of more people are being choosy on that stuff and taking advantage of the streaming thing. And I'm sure the streaming services on gaming consoles are not making it easier with some of these games because there's a lot of people out there now like, I'll wait till it comes to Game Pass, and they let it flow out their mind. So I mean, there's stuff that they would have bought day one.
GameStop. So, Game Pass has been good and bad in certain regards, right?
Yeah. So I mean, it's the same thing with streaming. People do the exact same thing. The Marvels. I didn't hear good things about the Marvels. I'll just wait till it comes to Disney Plus. You know what I mean?
So
me and Richard were talking today about our subscription service.
Yeah.
And is it even worth to be on the tier that we're on?
It's coming up, guys. Middle of March, my PlayStation Plus runs out, and I'm honestly looking at Essential. I'm looking at the bottom tier of PlayStation Plus. And I need an argument stating it's worth it for me to have something otherwise, and I don't have it there yet. And that's my decision, but I'll bring that up later on, but it's not there yet. I have access to all these other things that keep coming out. I still have those. It's not for me. I'm not saying that's not, I'm the outlier. 9 out of 10 people, it's going to benefit probably, but I still have access to those. It's just, do I want to have a PS3 hooked up and play Sly Cooper 2 on PS3? Or do I want to have the convenience of streaming it?
I mean, it's easier for you because, really, you can only stream that on, a PS5?
Yeah, I don't even get it with the portal.
Some on PS4.
Yeah.
I got the app on my PC.
Yeah.
I can stream it on my PC, and that's where you're stuck at. You have those 3 platforms. But, like you said, Richard, you have more options. So you have Game Pass, you have that. If I had between the two and I was only going to keep one, it'd probably be Game Pass because you got more new releases, more closer to new releases, where Sony has went the other route where they use their streaming service as a complementary thing to... Like, they figure in your mind, like, all right, these people are going to continue to buy new games, but
right.
We're going to put, like, these older games over on here for streaming that way. Stuff they might have fell through the cracks and missed. And Sony's taken the approach of how they've done their movies, and they said it before, because Sony's been like that with their movies, and how they drip feed that content at certain times for maximum profits, and then, Microsoft's trying to set a standard, so they're, they putting all their eggs in a basket up front, so.
And for the most part, these companies cut deals with both. Like, is it Tales of Arise? Just came to both. Just came to PlayStation. Yeah. It's like, okay, if I had one or the other, maybe I would be in a bind. But if I have both, I don't know. If I just have Game Pass, I'm definitely going to get Tales of Arise. Do I want the possible integration of the haptic feedback on the PS5 DualSense? Like, that's the stuff you start having to compare.
Yeah, the only thing with that PlayStation Premium was like last month. It was a bunch of Tales games, so it's like if they.
But that's just FOMO.
So if you're a big fan of
Tales games, I have access to those Tales games. But again, 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
You don't. And I want to jump back to what Cesar was talking about with the streaming and across multiple industries and things like that. So think of it as a big giant ship, and when something happens, there's an iceberg in front of the ship. The ship has to do this course correction. So you have this giant wheel turning, trying to turn the ship, and the ship turns very slowly in this course correction. And there's a couple outliers during this course correction. So think of COVID. We had Animal Crossing, and your live service games really took off because they were already in place. The infrastructure was already there. There wasn't additional development needs and publishing and marketing cycles and the traditional things. It's like, oh, I was playing Fortnite before everything slowed down. I'm getting the same shit as I was before. It's on that same, it's set to that same thing. So we have these market corrections at the speed of turning this giant battleship. So now you have so now it's reacted to that first turn, and now it's going back the other way, and it's also that same pivot and that same speed and level. The industry as a whole is a giant ship. It's not a quick. You may have these outliers like Helldivers right now is a zeitgeist. It's a big deal on PC and PS5. The servers were overloaded until the past week. Like, none of us since we've started playing it have had an issue getting on. I think Cesar might have the first week that he had it. But you have these slower pivots in the way the industry works, where even though we talk about these live service games going off, you still have these other small experiences or other type things that will also turn that ship in other ways that are not these giant industry pivots. It's I don't know that we've ever seen anything as volatile as what we're going through now, especially with the scope of the layoffs and the content that's being created and the amount of content that we have access to now. It's weird. I don't know that we're doing this show in the same format in 2 or 3 years from now where we discuss this type of news. I don't know that we're still going in that same direction. It's not what it used to be. It's just not. I don't know where we are in a couple of years. But I would have said that 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know. All of a sudden, we're not meeting in person. This podcast was done 115 times, I think, in a row in person around one microphone. And then 1 week, the state of Georgia said, no, you cannot get together. And we had to devise this. And we've done nothing but this since. So that's when the ship turned very rapidly in another direction. And we had to figure out something else. And we're able to do that because this is still, despite everyone joining us and being part of our fandom, and we are very appreciative of you. But this doesn't pay the bills. We still pay to host the podcast, and we are receiving no money off of our content here so far. I hate to throw that out there, but we have to decide based off of that, and that's where we are. And we had to make that pivot, and we decided to do this, and I think it's worked out better for everybody. We were able to bring Brant on seamlessly. I would love to be face-to-face with Brant, do a podcast over a microphone and such, but that's not worked out the way things happen now. But we've been able to bring Brant on seamlessly, so there's pros and cons to it all. But I hate this job loss and this talent loss. When you think about 5% of a company or 10% of a company, think about 5% of your peer group or 10% of your peer group. That's 1 of 10. And that's one person that would have a great idea or an awesome contribution that's not something that the other 90% would have come up with that would be able to impact that thought process or that creative process. And that sucks. When you lose that amount and they're not driving the decisions, you don't know what that end product is like, and that's where the uncertainty, and of course you don't want those people unemployed. Hopefully those artists and creative minds will find other opportunities, but with everybody cutting down, it's difficult.
It's gonna be weird. I mean, it's gonna be some stagnation in the gaming industry for real. Because I mean, who's gonna go to school or learn anything with gaming if the market's so bad for a job right now?
Yeah.
So I mean, you run the risk of it, losing original ideas and stuff like that. I mean, you may have the hope that you get more indies come through, but I mean, some of those are failing and closing up shop. So not many, but I would foresee more and more of it happening. So.
And it's impossible to track. Like Sony transferring the PS4 6S to PS5, the PS5 is outpacing the PS4, right? Mm-hmm. Would you say the PS5 exclusive library is outpacing the PS4 exclusive library at this point? It's nowhere close. No. It's not.
I mean,
and even the PS3 that struggled so bad, you're nowhere near the creativity and IP output and things like that of that console, right? And I love the backwards compatibility of the Series X and the 120 frames per second Halo versions that I've been playing, and that's been my Call of Duty box and things like that, but it's been nothing like the first 3 years of 360 or even the Xbox One. That part sucks. Is it successful? Yeah. Am I playing games on it just as much as the other ones? Yeah. Are the libraries that I can trot out and say, hey, this is a reason you need one of these two boxes? Not really. We're in a weird state.
We'll see more remakes come through. I mean, that's what worked for Sony before. That's why they're kind of going through it again. It's funny.
I have to call him out.
They did that. Brent. They did that with the PS3, the PS4. Remember?
Yes.
Like all those games those people missed. They're like, it was easy money.
It was.
The Wii U to Switch.
Yeah.
Easy money.
Yep. No one bought Mario Brothers. Nobody bought Mario Brothers Wii U. Nobody bought Pikmin 3. It was easy to port those games.
So what's going to be interesting is how Nintendo jumps from Switch to the next console, because they're not going to have that little pitfall of straight out content like they used to.
Nintendo's been immune to most of these points that we're making a conversation about, right? So far,
for now, at least.
Yeah.
For now.
First party.
For now. It's the whole difficulty of this next generation's handling from the previous generation to the next one. They haven't done it yet. So
I gotta say, Brant said, "Be right back, bathroom break." I don't know that he has ever done this in the history of being on the podcast. I don't know if he's ever ducked out for a bathroom trip. Godspeed, Brant. Next news article. 3DS Virtual Boy emulation gives you 3D without the headaches. This comes from Damian McFadden at Time Extension. I've read a bunch of their stuff. I don't know if we've done a lot of their news. A Virtual Boy emulator has just been released for the Nintendo 3DS, and it runs all officially licensed games at full speed. This is good news for 3DS owners. I have a MetaQuest 2, and this has been available for quite some time. Not this exact same emulator, but it's pretty flawless on the Quest 2. Developed by @Skyflugel, Red Viper can be installed on hacked 3DS consoles and allows you to experience the console's 3D effect without having to stoop over a table or get a headache. Those people obviously don't know what they're talking about. I used to lay back on the bed with my Virtual Boy goggles on my head that way. That was the superior way to play, in my opinion, even though it would still warn you after 15 minutes to take a break. Quote, 3D is supported. You can change the color, and the right D-pad can be controlled via the touchscreen or via the face buttons, with the Virtual Boy's face buttons being on the touchscreen, says the developer. New 3DS C-Stick is mapped to the right D-pad. Circle Pad Pro should be possible, but I haven't looked into it. Said all consumers of the Circle Pad Pro, except for probably myself and Cesar, buying Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater 3D.
Mine's still there. I'm looking at it right now.
Your Circle Pad Pro or Snake Eater?
It's
a good version of Snake Eater. Played that one. It's good.
I think I bought a digital copy before the whole store shut down as well.
Do that one then. Keep your copy sealed.
I've played it already. I bought the digital copy and played it.
It's good. You get to crouch and shoot. That is a major advantage of that version of Snake Eater. Released in 1995, the Virtual Boy is one of Nintendo's most infamous flops. Created by Gunpei Yokoi, father of Game & Watch, and the Game Boy, it employs this parallax effect to create the illusion of depth. This is achieved using a pair of linear arrays, one for each of the player's eyes, and oscillating mirrors. Soon after release, players complained of headaches and the fact that the device had to be placed on a table, causing neck pain. I just rolled that out. Lay back on the bed, you cowards, and put the goggles on your face. Less than 1 million units of the Virtual Boy were sold, and Nintendo discontinued it in 1996 after less than a year of sales. I have 2, only one is complete with the stand and all that sort of stuff, so any other method of playing the Virtual Boy is better than trying to track down original hardware, because there just aren't that many. And there's only 32 games in the library, I think, across all regions, including Atlas's Jack Brothers, the very first Wario Land. Was it called Wario Land, or was it called Wario Game Boy, or Wario Virtual Boy? The first Wario Land was on Game Boy. What is that game called? That Wario game is very, very good for Virtual Boy. There's Super Mario, or Mario Brothers Clash, which has Cesar, I know you loved Mario Brothers Wonder. You remember where you could switch between like the pipes in the foreground and the background? That was in that Mario Brothers Clash for Virtual Boy. There's Nestor's Bowling, Tolero Boxer.
It's just called Virtual Boy
Wario Land. The very first Mario Tennis ever was on Virtual Boy, and is a very, very, very good Mario Tennis game. Hopefully, I haven't looked at this emulator a lot. I know the one on Quest will let you change the colors scheme, so you don't have to stay in the red and black, which is comforting to just do grayscale. Like I played that Wario Land game on Quest 2 in grayscale, and that was way more comfortable than the red and black.
Yeah, this does a full array of colors.
You can do all kinds of stuff.
Can be also played on even the original 3DS. It's not held back by any of the models or anything. 3DS. Yeah.
So check that out if your 3DS is modded, and maybe by this point we should all have modded 3DSs. Somebody tell me about this PlayStation VR 2 compatibility and why we may be getting one soon. As in Cesar purchasing. Cesar glances at the screen.
I don't know.
No, I'm still not buying it.
I'm closer than I was before. I'm still not close. I need a price drop.
If it integrates with Steam, that changes. I got a good bit of VR games in Steam. That changes
Same.
everything. But there's no confirmation that it's going to integrate with Steam or work for every Steam game.
Right.
So no, I don't think so. Sony has confirmed that, and this is from VGC, Tom Ivan. It's confirmed it's currently testing PlayStation VR 2 compatibility with PC. The company aims to enable players to connect their PSVR 2 headsets to PC later this year in order to access more games, thus get a justification to purchase that headset. They hope to make the support available in 2024. They kind of dropped this news right when they announced some PSVR 2 games that came out that same day and coming soon, which was Wizard's Dark Time Brotherhood and Arizona Sunshine 2 DLC. And then later would be Little Cities, Wanderer, and Zombie Army VR. They mentioned in here October, Sony Interactive Entertainment Senior Vice President and Head of Global Marketing, Eric Lapel, described VR as a meaningful business for the company, but one that has yet to reach its potential. So it seems like they want to treat it as a platform, but I think I mentioned to this before to Richard that it seems like this is going the way the Vita were. We already lost the studio in London who primarily did VR in the last couple of years and hadn't done a VR game since probably 2019, which was, I think, the Blood and Money. So whatever they've been doing has been canceled since, and it does not seem like there's anything from their first-party studios. They're going to go to VR, and it seems like with these cuts and realignment of their money, that doesn't seem like they're going to be pouring that much more into it. So, as well as third-party support, it's not been there because Rec Room is not going to port their copies over and didn't see a need to. So, what do you do? You know, I mean, if you can sell more by making this compatible with PC, increase sales, and you hope that the developers will come back to the console. Or if they can put it on PC and Steam and make it work there pretty well, I guess you figure that maybe the developers will just port it over more easily to PlayStation 5. So
and of course,
I guess that's what I'm thinking. What their aim is.
This thing is still like $550, which is it can be cheaper than some of the other headsets. But also, there's
GameStop had it on sale like right after this news. It was like $350, I think.
Yeah.
Close.
Refurbish.
Yeah, the refurb. Yeah, important to note.
But I mean, if you can get a MetaQuest 2 or something, I mean, they are not this expensive, and they're fully self-contained. So
the only concern is I think the MetaQuest does have a PC link, but it's not that great on PC gaming. So like I said, this would change things depending on how, if it interacts like kind of like the Steam VR or the HTC ones that Steam has officially supported, then I think that would probably help it a lot. Because you might see a lot of people that's like, well, if I can use this on a PlayStation also, and I might just buy this one and pay the extra $100 because I think it's still $100 more expensive than the HTC ones they have with Steam. So it's all about value and stuff like that. So I guess that's what they're trying to show here.
Value proposition. As consumers, that's what we have, right?
I mean, at this point, that's what people are shopping based off. So I mean, it's like you guys mentioned before, there's more and more conversations about people. It's all here at work, man. Streaming services about what to get rid of. So I mean, I was laughing about it yesterday because they were like, Netflix is raising the prices again. I was like, damn, you just replaced it. It raised them like 6 months ago. Yeah. So I was like, at that point, it's there's a lot of exclusive anime on Netflix, but I'm like, I was like, I don't know, man. And then I use a VPN for my Netflix, which I'm probably not supposed to, and get even more anime, which they surprisingly put in English subtitle over there. So I was like, I really don't need Crunchyroll, but because a lot of that stuff's on Netflix in Japan. So and in subtitled in English, but neither here or there. But yeah, I mean, that value stuff is starting to drop itself, and like I was getting ready to get rid of Disney Plus, but then they just licensed 5 exclusive anime, only available on Disney Plus. They're starting to uptick their thing and go against Crunchyroll, so they got a lot of good stuff on there, like Go Go Loser Ranger is exclusive to Disney Plus, and I like the quintuplets, and this is from the same author. I'm looking forward to it, and this is his next big work. So,
not to advocate for it, but I mean, there's always the eye patch and the high seas.
I laugh because
you're looking to cut those streaming services.
Like my coworker at work always makes that joke. He said, if it's not on Crunchyroll, he's like, oh, he's always doing like this, oh, yeah, so walking around. He said, if it's not on Crunchyroll, he's like, I can't afford everything. He said, just put it all on Crunchyroll.
And that's always our argument, right? Like we actually want to pay for a soundtrack to this game, or this limited content that was available for 6 months. Like, we want to be able to have access to that, and if we can't, we will find the means necessary to procure this and enjoy.
And obviously, we're not the anime podcast, but I mean, Cesar was talking about it and talking about how to try and find stuff that's exclusive to certain platforms, and then, you know, Sony, which owned Funimation, just bought Crunchyroll, and now they're kind of folding Funimation into Crunchyroll, and along with that, there's stuff that people legitimately owned a digital copy of or bought physical versions of the media, and it came with that downloadable code, so you could also have a digital version of it, and now those people are losing that digital entitlement to those things as well. So,
and it's interesting because I think the CEO of Crunchyroll just mentioned that too. I read an article about that where he's like, yeah, they're looking at trying to do something where they're like, all right, well, like for these people who have digital stuff, we may give them a discount on the subscription.
A discount.
They said they're also even looking at maybe even giving them a free subscription and letting them access what they had on that library previously on Crunchyroll without having to pay for it.
That sounds like an actual decent thing to do. So they
said they're still discussing it. So they, like, people being vocal about it. They heard it and they're like, all right, maybe, you know, this is a shitty thing that we can't let it slide. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they're just going to be like, oh, you get $2 off a month or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised to go that route. But at least he said they're looking at different avenues about what they can do and stuff like that. So, but I mean, yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's interesting times. So, like I said. But yeah, I mean, going back to the PlayStation VR too. I mean, if this integrates with Steam, is what I'm waiting for. I mean, I'm not excited. I mean, I'm interested, but I'm not excited yet until it integrates with Steam. I think it's 100% worth it. Because I mean, I have a PC that can run VR games. I didn't buy an Index. That's what they call it, an Index on Steam, because they're pretty pricey. They're not as expensive as the VR2, but they're close. But if it integrates with Steam, I'd be willing to pay the price once for 2 different platforms. Yeah. Yes,
that becomes a extreme value proposition. As Cesar's saying, if you were to get a similar spec PC headset specifically, it's $1,000 for a PC only for Steam. So if you can use this across Steam and the limited PSVR 2 support, I'm gonna say limited because of exclusives, and I would say the three of us deciding whether or not that's a value proposition for just the PS5 to have a dedicated headset, that becomes a much stronger argument across 2 platforms versus 1.
I mean, they have yet to have a killer app on this console. Now, like, that's what I was telling when earlier. I was telling Brand. I mean, with the closure of these studios, I don't really see them doing many VR games anymore. I see them doing like the Vita thing, where they're going to quietly just leave it a third party to keep that platform alive. So I guess and that's what I was telling the Brent earlier, was because if they plug it into PC, maybe it's easier to port it. Hey, this works on PC. It should just be as easy just to port it over the PS5. You know, we'll just get third party games that way. So
we saw the Vita getting support pulled pretty fast. PSVR 2 doesn't seem to be having much better of a track record.
Yeah,
maybe worse.
I mean, Studio London was the only one that was really doing it, and they're gone now, so.
I hate that. And even though it's SingStar content and Blood and Truth and, what was it, PlayStation VR Worlds, that demo disc, I sold like
so
3 copies of PlayStation VR based off of that Worlds demo. When you put somebody in that VR headset and they've never experienced VR before, and you drop them down in that tank, or that cage, and you have the shark demo and the jellyfish,
the ocean,
you're not even doing anything. You're just looking around. You're in a 360 swivel, and you're looking up and around, and you look straight down underneath you and behind you. Like, still, there's nothing in gaming that quite reaches what that demonstration shows. I think that's still a huge demonstration for VR and what it can do. And that's the studio that brought you that just got eliminated. They're gone. Mm-hmm. One of the most compelling arguments for a totally new style of interactive media. You're gone, guys.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting because the next, like I said, with all this stuff changes happening, we're going to see a lot of those gas games are going to be canceled. A lot of them already are. I don't think there's going to be many left. I mean, I don't think they're going to announce any more VR games. It's going to be a lot of safe stuff. So, I mean, and hopefully the new stuff will be more the AA stuff like Helldivers and Prince of Persia. So, I mean, I see more,
It's got to be a rise of that, right? It's not the bottom tier that's not making anything, and it's not the 1 out of 500 that makes it out of the AAA top tier.
Yeah, because I mean, at this point, I do see Spider-Man, the next Spider-Man, probably coming out on day and date with PC at this rate.
It should. Why would it? Why would it not as a financial measure? Yeah.
I know some people argue, well, what's the value of this? Blah blah blah. I should just get a PC. Cool, you can do that. Some people don't want to mess with it. They'll get it on console still. You just put the disc in, it runs. PC's not. It's not as easy as people make it out to. You gotta be able to tinker with stuff, and sometimes it doesn't work the way you are. And if you don't want to have to sit there for 30 minutes to figure out something, then
I just did maybe 5 minutes ago.
May not be for you, but
told me twice she picked it up.
But we'll leave it at that. And so I guess the next thing we can talk about is we had a Pokemon Direct.
Oh, Pokemon Presents.
Presents Direct or whatever.
Yeah, 90% of it was mobile.
Game, right?
It was mobile stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So of course I'm the resident Pokemon person. I'm gonna skip over most of that because it was the same old.
I was on mute for a second. Okay, I want to recap one more thing.
Nope.
Back to the console PC thing. Like it's a whole pivot of, we know this thing, sure, we're going to take a hit on graphics and everything else because we know we have a box and the box runs the thing, right? So we have, it's not the best version of Myst because if I had a PC with a 3D FX graphics Voodoo card, it would run a better version of Myst, but I have a PlayStation or I have a 3DO and I'm going to get a good version of Myst, right? If you're not missing out on the sales, because what's the install base of a PC gaming computer? Maybe way more than PS5. So now you're meeting that midway point of releasing Spider-Man 3 hypothetically for PC and PS5 at the same time. I don't know that you're sacrificing that many console sales. And it's still the only place to play that on console. You have that as maybe a bundle or an exclusive or a mission, or I don't know what that is. You pivot that against PC, but then you still don't miss out on all of that install base of PC. And you've invested so much recently in having day one releases for certain PC titles, not Paramount ones, Paramount, not the brand, but like, tentpole PlayStation releases. But you leverage that. Why would you leave that audience out? It's exactly what Xbox has been facing over the past couple months. Why would you take these studios that you've acquired that have this mastery of PC, PS4 or PS5, and Xbox One and Xbox Series consoles, and only have them developing for the smallest install base out of all of those platforms? Why would you do that? There's no advantage. You're not driving anybody towards that platform. Hi-Fi Rush is not the seller for more Game Pass subscriptions over what you could get from a Steam sale. Right? There's no way. And then you take a brand like Spider-Man, you take an IP that is that the top tier Marvel? Is there a bigger Marvel franchise than Spider-Man? Why would you sacrifice that for... It's not coming to your Game Pass version of Sony PS5 exclusive. It's not coming to premium PlayStation Plus, right? You're not losing those. You're going to get those people who have that platform already who are going to have that. Or you maybe have a bundle where you have that console with that game included. But you're also getting those games for, you probably have a Steam Deck version ready to go. It's a little weaker one than PS5, but it's still there. And then you have all these other additional sales on there. It's hard to argue against that when you've already spread your IP and your availability across those other platforms. We're out of that territory, I think, except for Nintendo. And Nintendo's going to come around, like Cesar said last week. It's coming.
Yeah, I mean the people still in their stuff. I mean, what they had the Yuzu lawsuit that just happened, and the main reasons because they found in that wording is like the reason why that lawsuit is happening now and they're going through with this because those Switch games play on Switch, the next Switch successor. So they're like, most time they're like, when they move on to something else, but it's like they're gonna have that next. Seems like that next hardware is gonna be that same bridge gap where it's gonna play some of the old stuff and new ones. It's gonna have that coattails is gonna ride into the next generation for them. So they're like, that's why they're trying to do something to kind of stop it now. So.
Right, because they've gotten to the point where these emulators and such are like, okay, the Steam Deck is the best Switch. You don't need a Switch OLED. I mean, you can get a Steam Deck OLED and play these games better than they can on the Switch.
I could play, Tears of the Kingdom in 4K on a PC.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can play better than what I can
native.
The original.
Native.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Of course.
All right, next article.
Speaking of Switch games that are going to run better on the Steam Deck,
I had to recap that. I had one more thought. I was like, we got to come back to this. It's not quite done here.
You are the captain. Oh, captain, my captain.
Yes, stand up on your desk.
But yeah, there was a Pokemon Presents. Like I said, it was majority mobile games. They went over the same stuff they normally do. It was a Pokemon Shuffle, Pokemon EX Masters, Pokemon Go, all that stuff. But the biggest announcement for fans of the Pokemon franchise, as far as video games goes, is a new Pokemon game in the Legends series. This is Pokemon ZA.
Pokemon Legends.
It will be launching for Nintendo Switch in 2025. The release trailer description reads what?
I saw 2025 and I kept waiting for like another logo. Like, is this where they show us what the new Switch thing looks like?
They won't do that. They won't do that on a Game Freak Pokemon company.
On that note, they showed that like there was like a S thing at the end of it, like a rainbow looking S.
That's the Mega.
I didn't know that. I said that to a friend of the show, Bleach. I was like, "Do you know what this logo is?" Because I happen to think it may be the new Switch. It may be the new Switch logo.
Gosh.
He's like, "No." He sent me back the card. He's like, "Nah, you make that like a super
Mega Evolution.
You make that a Mega Evolution." I'm a Pokemon noob.
Like they lost it. They're like, "Oh, we let that sneak out. Oops." How can we let this happen?
They wouldn't announce anything for their new console through one of their partners. So, but the description for the trailer reads, because all they did was just pump out a trailer, there's not really any gameplay or anything as of yet, so we'll know something probably a little later in the year or beginning of next year. They'll probably show some more gameplay or something. But it's a new adventure awaits within Lumio City, where an urban redevelopment plan is underway to shape the city into a place that belong. Oh no, my whole Gamatsu just restarted.
It died. Give Sal his ads. We love Sour Mono.
It just refreshed. Sorry about that. Shape the city into a place that belongs to both people and Pokemon. Please look forward to seeing it for yourself. So Lumio City, Lumios is the region that is basically like modeled after France. So you have like the big tower in the center, and the city is like a giant circle that's divided into like several different regions. This was the like Pokemon X and Y franchise. That's where this kind of lands, is somewhere in that realm.
Which was a kind of popular generation, not like super well.
Some people liked it, some people hated it. It's the first one where I had been out of Pokemon since Pokemon Crystal. Pokemon Crystal had been my last Pokemon game. I never picked up Fire Red, Leaf Green. I'm like, oh, those are better looking versions of the games I already played. Let me get something else for my Game Boy Advanced. And then it went into Ruby, Sapphire, and all Diamond, Pearl, and it kept going. And I kind of got into this phase where I don't want to play Pokemon anymore. That's like a kid's thing.
Oh.
But later, when X and Y came around and I started seeing more and more from it, I was like, man, I really want to get back into that game. And it was one of those things where I got Y and the missus got X. And we played the hell out of that Pokemon game. And like halfway through it, I said, you know what? This is going to be the game where I think I want to collect every single Pokemon. I think I want to do it. And I started going back and buying old Pokemon games, and then figured out that there was like almost 1,000 Pokemon. And was like, what the hell did I get myself into? I had to do all sorts of things to finally fill out that entire Pokédex. But it was a damn good time. So Pokemon ZA.
So you're excited about this one. You like this generation.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. And it's like you mentioned, there's a little hint about Mega Evolutions, which Mega Evolutions was their
was it after this one?
No, Mega Evolutions was in X and Y. It was their gimmick. The games on the 3DS, they all had. Well, I guess it went back to like Black and White, because I think Black and White, the legendaries could like fuse together. Right. You had I don't even remember, but the 3DS games, starting there, they started doing these like big gimmicks. So first it was Mega Evolution, where your character had this bracelet on, and certain Pokemon could Mega Evolve into battle into stronger versions, and they might change type, and they, get these crazy new forms. And I want to say when they redid Ruby and Sapphire, they had primal forms of the legendaries, and then now we have, what is it, the Terrestrial forms. The Pokemon game I just played, they had the Gigantamax.
It's a family-friendly podcast, Brian.
I know I'm throwing out all these terms of Pokemon terms you don't understand, but the real ones get it.
All right, wait for me. I'm on the first dungeon or the first gym. Wait for me. I'll catch up with you and trade with you.
So, yeah. Well, I wasn't excited to see yet another Pokemon trading card app for my phone. Cool. I was excited. There's already one.
So we said he's already playing one. What is the difference between the one he's playing and this one?
I think the one is Pokemon TCG Live, and this new one is, I can't even remember what it was called. I'd have to look it up, but it's a new one, and it looks like it focuses more on, like, you can get 2 free packs a day. It's easy to like look at the cards. Like, there's more interactive stuff to do with the cards, and get in depth on some of like the artwork and stuff like that. Yeah. And then there's also playing the actual card game and whatnot. So I don't know if this is replacing the current one, considering the current one just replaced the old one a year and a half, 2 years ago. So I don't know.
We don't know what this version is exactly. Just a new thing for them to sell. Someone said it's Pokemon NFTs by selling these cards.
Yeah. I'm a TCG player myself. I have been known to dabble in the TCG.
I'm down with TCG. Yeah, you know me.
Oh, but I do believe that's the end of that article, Richard. So let's get into games played. What games
should we talk? Helldivers?
Possibly have played.
All right, I'm gonna touch on some games acquired first off. Brant talked me into this one. I mentioned this earlier in the podcast. I had an apology code from Walmart. This is Assassin's Creed Mirage for the PlayStation 5. I'm hoping to stream some of this. A friend of the show, Mermy, wants to see some Assassin's Creed. She is a big fan of some of the earlier Assassin's Creeds. That came in. I made a major mistake. I'm a big friend of... I would love for him to say friend of the show, Mike Micah, but I don't know if that's factual or not. But Digital Eclipse, they are known for their impeccable porting and emulation / remastering of certain titles. And their first part of their Gold Master series was Atari 50, the anniversary collection. And I bought this for Switch day one, so I supported this, and I put it to the side, like, I'll get this for other platforms later. I'll get it for Steam when it's on sale, and I'll get it for PS5 and that sort of thing. Then it became out of print for PS5. I could not find it anywhere. And I eventually got it off of eBay pre-owned for about the price of what a new one would have been when it came out. So I hate that the sales did not go to Digital Eclipse and Atari 50 for this Atari 50 collection, but this is the first in their Goldmaster series, and it's like an interactive museum. It's a documentary of early Atari games and development of those, and they're doing. If I had a job in the video games industry, I would be doing what Digital Eclipse does with their content. And Cesar bought me their second one, Karateka, which is Jordan Mechner's kind of prequel to the Prince of Persia series. So it's a deep dive into that. And they have another game coming out. I don't think Karateka was a Goldmaster series, was it? They made,
I don't think so.
And it never got a physical release, which I also bemoaned the lack of, because
I thought Limited Run was going to end up doing a release for it.
They probably
I haven't seen anything on it. Have y'all? I will support, because I'll have this disc forever, and there's no major updates.
I think it wasn't. I think that's where we heard about it, was in the Limited Run show. So it's probably something that's coming out later.
I would hope so. I would hope to be stand corrected on that one. Their third one is a Jeff Minter collection, who. He did a bunch of the new Tempest games, so like Tempest 2000 and Attack of the Mutant Camels, and he is the co-founder, if not the founder, of Llamasoft, so it's all about Attack of the Mutant Llamas, and he's got a whole big thing about llamas, and it's just, we wouldn't be where we are as an industry without Jeff Minter, but he's never had a highlight that Digital Eclipse is going to put on him for this next Goldmaster. And I sent a Instagram post to Brant earlier today. They had a fact like, are we going to get a physical copy? When is it coming out? What's it going to include? Is it going to have Tempest 3000? There's like a bunch of frequently asked questions that people wanted to know about this title. And it said, what was it, Brant, you sent back to me? Wait and see.
The very first thing was like, oh yeah, we plan to do a physical version, but
don't wait.
Maybe
don't wait. And that's exactly the lesson I learned from Atari 50. So I'm hoping that Jeff Minter collection gets a physical release soon, announcement soon.
To answer your question, Richard, the July 12th of last year. This is now confirmed before physical release. Limited Run Games will share more details later for Karateka.
Perfect. I will also buy that one. Cesar got me the Steam copy for my birthday. And I'm eternally grateful to have a Steam copy, because I know that I'll carry forward to whatever PC platforms I have in the next 15 to 20 years. But I would absolutely love to also celebrate with a physical copy and know that I own a version of that game on some sort of modern platform. And the Jeff Minter collection is coming to physical. Hopefully there's an announcement coming soon, is the way they made that seem. If you know Mike Micah, the studio head of Digital Eclipse, he is in full support of physical media, and that's not something he would want to not have available to a significant portion of the clientele or gaming history. He recognizes how big this type of release is, and Jeff Minter, just Google him, look up those games. If you like video games, you will like Jeff Minter's games. And this is...
He's still making games to this day.
Yeah, he still is. For, what, 40 years now? 50 years?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He made Commodore 64 games, and he's still making the same type, zany, arcade shooting. We just wouldn't be where we are as an industry without Jeff Minter, and I'm so happy for this series that they have highlighted someone like this. They've done Atari, Jordan Mechner's Karateka, and now Jeff Minter's contribution to the industry. And I think they've picked 3 massive contributors right off the rip. Those are great selections. I I played some Halo 3 with friend of the show, Russell. We're continuing that. We've totally dropped Warzone. I realized that over the past 2 weeks. I've played no Warzone. During lunches, when he has been free, we've been playing some Halo 3 campaign. That continues to be good. I made a couple clips I need to post. So part of the fun of Halo is the crazy stuff that happens during the campaigns, right? And there's a level where there's a scarab, so it's the giant Covenant, like it's a giant crab, and it's got a cannon out of the front and it shoots out of the front of this cannon. And in Halo 3, you reach a point where you've not quite gotten to the Flood. The Flood is coming up, but this is like the last Covenant large defense, and they have one of these scarab things. And Russell and I spent a good 30 to 40 minutes trying to take down the scarab in all the zaniest ways possible, including riding a mongoose, which is like an ATV type thing, across this ladder onto the top of the scarab, which never worked out for us. I got an NPC. I was driving one of the mongooses, and the NPC had a rocket. I was driving around the scarab, and we actually blew up a Wraith, which is the Covenant, like a big Covenant tank type thing. It blew up, and I was like, yeah, we won. And as it blew up, it blew us off the edge of the cliff, so we go flying off the edge of the and I'm just dying laughing. It's not so many times when we've been playing Warzone, I would say over the past year, there's these aggravating deaths, right? When you die, it's a detriment to your team, or even Helldivers doesn't dock you for dying, right? As long as somebody's there that can punch in the code and bring you back.
Unless you end the mission.
Right.
And don't have people come back with you. Which sometimes isn't your fault because the damn game glitches, which we'll talk about.
Also true. But Halo 3 is old enough to where, like, if I go careening off the edge of the thing because something crazy happens, Russell just has to back up. The other player just has to back up and get out of contact, and then you respawn, and it's pretty straightforward. So we would do that, and man, I was in tears laughing during this part of the playthrough, and I was just having so much fun, and the stupid shit that we would try to do. We're playing on normal, so as Halo vets, it's not that difficult. If you know how the Halo systems work, normal is, you could definitely manipulate the respawns and that sort of thing. And we just had a good time with it. And I think I talked about it last week, but we discovered if you're the second player on Master Chief Collection on Halo 3, you get way more jitter than the primary player. So we alternated between being the monster and being Master Chief. As far as I told Russell, I would happily be his arbiter and play at a solid 42.5 frames per second on an OLED on the Xbox Series X. Oh, we had a good time. We're probably, so the Prophet of Truth just rode the little ship thing out of the lesser arc. He's headed to the greater arc. And so we're probably 2/3 of the way through the story, I think. It's just good, man. And I still keep thinking, I know last week's episode was called Anniversary Begging, but I would really, really like a Halo 3 anniversary. It would just benefit from so many small... It's still a good game, and it plays so well on Series S and Series X, and probably the Xbox One X, right? But there's areas where... there's a mission we just played called Savo Highway, in which you're in a warthog or some sort of ghost or wraith. It's a very vehicle-based map where there's not a lot of ground cover and ground firing maybe between infantry. You're trying to take a vessel from one point to the next. And there was a point where you get to a cliff, and it's an Xbox 360 game. It looks great on Series X, but it's a native 360 game. And you look at it, and there's trees, and there's a jungle, and there's some mist, and you see where it's rendering across this vast area, right? But you know that if it was a solid remaster for a current gen, you would see all sorts of particle effects and smog, like fog and smoke. I guess smog is the combination of those. You would see way more just depth of field and and it's not high def because it's already high def, but you guys know what I'm talking about. You just see way more details and particle effects and immersion in what they can do with that engine versus what they were able to do in 2007, right, when that came out. And even though it's a great version of what came out in 2007, it's not what they could do today. Just think of like Dead Space versus the Dead Space remaster. Same core game, same engine and concept and that sort of thing, but just how they were able to up those small details that add to the immersion and really, really feel like a brand new experience. Because the bones are there. As Brent infamously likes to say, it's got those Halo bones. Those bones are there. And that coat of paint that you could apply, the paint now is solid. If you applied that new coat of paint, it would really add to it. That's it for my new stuff played, and I think Helldivers has taken over most of my life over the past week. Maybe both of you guys. Have y'all played any more stuff? Do y'all want to touch on some things before we go to Helldivers?
No, it's fine because that's pretty much all I played this week. I guess we can have Brant talk about what he's played if you haven't played that. I did buy this as my games acquired.
What is that? Tell me.
One day, so. Ultros. It's like a Metroidvania game that came out on PlayStation a couple weeks back.
I'll have to look into that.
It's very colorful.
What's it about?
Yeah, it's got very, very good reviews.
What is that?
But that's it. I haven't played much.
I was gonna say, what's that universe like? Is it like sci-fi or medieval or any sort of backstory on it?
Literally have not played it. I saw that the Open Critic review scores was like 88 or something like that. It was pretty high.
Ultros?
That flew under my radar, and I went and bought it.
That sounds good.
Ultros, yeah. It's a PlayStation 5 exclusive.
Really?
It's only on PS5 right now, but.
Where can you get it at? Is it a limited run or anything, or is it?
I bought that copy off Amazon, and then they got it, which is the deluxe edition, for like $39, and I think the digital copy's like $20.
But it's a brand game.
It may be on PC, maybe. It may just be a console exclusive right now on PlayStation. Yeah, it's on Steam. So if you want to watch the video and see what it's about, just head over to Steam, take a look at it. But it's a Metroidvania. It's very unique looking.
I'm gonna check it out.
But I feel I went ahead and bought it because not enough people are talking about it, and I've read nothing but great things about it. So
it looks interesting.
Yeah, we're gonna have to look this one up, Cesar.
Oh yeah. As far as stuff I've played, I did finish Pokemon Sword. Which means
you beat it? I was almost catching up with you. I was on the first dungeon, first gym.
Well, I rolled credits. I haven't done.
You can only make that joke once a year, man. So you already done it like 4 times.
Twice an episode.
I didn't do any of the post-credits stuff, so don't worry. You can still catch up. What else? I did play, like I said last week, I got this My Hero 1's Justice 2 in.
For whatever reason, they can't fucking name it My Hero Academia.
I don't know. It's a weird name.
I feel like you showed us this one last week.
Yeah, it's your standard like anime arena fighter. What was it? Crytek or Cry or I can't remember. Actually does I didn't see them on the back of this box at all because it just has Bandai Namco, but they did help develop this game, and there's like 2 fighters that are linked to actually beating the quote-unquote like story mode. The rest of the characters are all stuck behind a season pass kind of thing.
This Ultros game looks crazy. I'm looking at it. It's like very stylized.
There,
colorful.
It's very Castlevania, right?
CyberConnect. That's
CyberConnect, the anime people.
And yeah, they were behind part of this game.
I mean, CyberConnect makes good brawlers. There's another company out there that makes bad one, like Jujutsu Kaisen.
So, we played a little bit of that. Jumped into the versus mode, but I mean, there's there's like there's a chunk at the bottom of like a handful of characters, and then when I actually looked into that season pass, there's a whole bunch of people that they added in that season pass. It looks like way more than what's, blanked out on the bottom of the character select. So, and then I actually picked up and started getting back into, oh my gosh, I totally blanked. Puppeteer. No, not Puppeteer. I wish I need to.
Finish Puppeteer, you coward.
But damn, Hi-Fi Rush. There we go. On the Steam Deck.
It's Puppeteer adjacent, right? Those are very similar games.
And literally, I started.
Thank you for showing us not adjacent, not parallel.
Not adjacent, it is perpendicular.
I literally started playing Hi-Fi Rush, picked it back up, and played for 15 minutes. And then this was on Sunday. Richard starts texting me, "Hey, got a couple runs of Helldiver in you."
Oh.
It's like, damn it. Okay. And then I picked up Hi-Fi Rush again the other night and played and beat the boss that I was on, and that, advanced the plot a little bit. We found out exactly what the main villain is up to in the game, what he's trying to accomplish, and what our goal is in order to hopefully stop that. So I'm going to continue to plug away at Hi-Fi Rush.
You're doing that on Steam Deck, right?
Get that. Yes. And mainly it's been Helldivers 2 with you two gentlemen, and then
friend of the show
with an extra friend of the show as
recently.
Of just within the past couple of days. Russell.
He's the reason we didn't record last night. The show we played Helldivers instead.
No. Clearly, y'all kept passing the buck. You were like, "Oh, SSR, what do you say?" "I don't know. I'm okay with it." Is Bran okay with it? I'm like,
no,
yes,
no.
Fine.
SSR, I'll protect you from this stray bullet. Russell procured the PS5 yesterday. We had to play Helldivers yesterday, all of us together. I would not let SSR take the stray bullets here. Oh, we're all addicted to Helldivers. This is a good ass game.
Every day I'm in the trenches taking grenades.
I'm just thinking about it. I'm just thinking about the Helldivers nonstop.
I'm not attacking him or anything.
Never attack Cesar. He'll deploy mines and blow you up instead.
I'm just saying, I think Russell said something about you, like, yeah, we I think Russell said, or we could just keep playing, and you go, I don't know, yeah, what about podcasting tomorrow?
This was we can never stream a game before we record, because it turns into, we can just keep doing this and still get the same.
Let's just keep going.
Let's just keep going. Get the same content. Helldivers is fantastic. If you have missed and I don't use this lightly, but it is a zeitgeist currently of gaming. Everyone is talking about Helldivers. It is a $40 downloadable game or physical copy if you can find one. They're sold out everywhere. I wish I had bought digital instead of physical, because it took me an extra 5 days to get a copy. But it is 1 to 4 people dropping in on either a campaign against bugs or robots. And it is a worldwide campaign. So think of like a Folding at Home type thing where everybody's contributing to a common goal, right? It's not just, okay, we're going to defend, I don't know, we've been playing Call of Duty. It's not just try to win the canal and then you're done for the round. Like, it's cumulative. It adds into an ultimate goal of what people are trying to achieve. And you may drop in, and it's if you play on easy, you have 1 goal, so you try to take out maybe a bug nest. Or if you play on medium, you'll have 2 goals, and you try to do a bug nest, and a drop pod has a communications you need to recover, so you need to pick up a hard drive and deliver it to the drop pod. So that's an extra element on top of that. But there's also side missions that will randomly be on the map. I think Cesar figured out how to scan the map and find those extra side pieces.
Yeah, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. I mean, the last couple of rounds I did.
It's bizarre, right? Like I don't see anything. Let's go to this nest. I think there's a nest over here.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing is like when we first started, because the game doesn't, it just drops you in. Yeah. It takes you through a basic tutorial. Here's how to shoot. Here's how to dive. Here's how to roll. Here's how to go prone. Here's how to.
And the main mechanic is very Titanfall-esque, in which you call in something. So you get it's a QTE simulator, Cesar calls it, and you call in something. So right off the rip, you can call in someone that is in your party that has died. You can call in a basic weapon, and then you can call in an orbital strike. So it's like a major, like a summon almost, that can strike certain areas. But then it all compounds on that. You get either mines or a sentry gun or napalm strike that compounds on top of that basic orbital strike. Or we found a jetpack, which lets you hover slightly. And then on top of that, guard dog, which is like an extra,
like a little
sentinel type
hover
thing.
drone.
Yeah, that
follows you around.
That shoots for you as like a cover type device. Mm-hmm. And it's just every mission is different, right? It's not all straightforward. Like kill the eggs. It's go find this, or take the hard drive here, or all of a sudden. Here's a satellite dish you have to line up according to these coordinates. Line it up in this position, and then you'll get that bonus. And it just, every single mission seems like it offers something totally different.
Yeah. But it's not super hand-holdy.
No.
Like I was saying, it gives you the basics and just kind of lets you go. And you kind of have to figure everything out on your own. Because, I mean, when we started, we were just doing the basic objective. We didn't know that they're like, wait, what did we miss? Why is it saying we missed those things? Because there's some objectives that don't automatically pop up on the map. You got to explore.
Yeah.
And then we started like finding all this extra stuff where you can find medals and extra weapons and vaults, and thankfully we played with some cool people. And
the community provides. Hey,
they're like, hey, did you know this? Yeah. They're like, hey, yeah, and did you know this? And we over the past weekend we met some really cool people that played with us and gave us tips and tricks and things like that, and we're just really cool people. But
we met was it Prosmo Kaiser from Germany?
Kaiser
says specifically, this is a very American game. You guys want to spread democracy and you have the nukes?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he was so much fun. We added him to the friend list. He was very cool. I think we would have played more with him since then, but it's a 6-hour time difference.
Yeah.
Hell.
So usually by the time we're getting on in the evening, he's been asleep for a little while.
Yeah, because the time we played, it was like midnight for him, and it was like evening for us, late evening, like post-dinner. But as we mentioned, a friend of the show, Russell Randall, got a PlayStation 5 for this game.
And chronicled
not Spider-Man, not Final Fantasy 16, not Ratchet & Clank. Yes, and let us know specifically the steps involved in procuring this thing. Oh, it's good stuff. This is going to be on...
And we had a lot of fun.
What's that?
And I said, and we had a lot of fun. And like,
that's so
like you
much
were talking
fun.
About with Halo, you have those moments.
Yeah.
Last night we were playing, and I was trying to get away. We built ourselves up because Russell was new, and we were on his ship. So he's unlocking all the difficulties and stuff as he progresses. And we're just along for the ride and helping him out, helping him level up. And we'd been doing amazing and, splitting up and taking objectives down, and really hadn't had too much of a problem with things. And he unlocked challenging, and we're like, yeah, let's do it. And we got on this planet, and we started immediately just having a problem. Left and right, getting murdered.
Instant death.
As you go into different difficulties, they add different enemy types to whatever enemy you're facing. So you have more progressing difficult enemies added to the Horde. They have 2 different enemy types. There's like, we call them the T-1000s.
And the ATSTs.
And then the bugs. And the bugs, I mean, you get like some basic bugs and some tiny little bugs that like spit some stuff at you and slow you down.
I hate that's the worst thing in the game is the slow. When you can't get away from something, you can't sprint or go prone. You're just like slowly like in the quagmire because something shot you with poison shit.
But the higher difficulty you go, the more difficult enemies they throw at you. So eventually there's like this giant bubble butt bug that like spits bile at you.
The bile bug is worse.
If you're in direct line, if you are in direct line of that bile and you cannot get out of the way, you're dead. Yeah. You're just dead.
One hit kill. Even if you just dropped in, it's like fine. I got a resurge. But I'm calling it resurgence.
Yeah. There are these giant, like, armored charging bugs that come at you, and then there's the biggest one we were having problems with are these, like, freaking stalker-like bugs, where they kind of, if they're away from you, they kind of get camouflaged. You can still kind of see them a little bit, but then they're super aggressive. If you throw out a turret, they immediately go to it and destroy it. If you're you throw out any kind of support, they go out and destroy it. They are super fast. They will charge you, and they got like these mantis arms, and they just stab you.
Were they called stalkers or hunters? I know there's two. There's two in those bugs. I hate the hunters, but I think the ones you're talking about are called stalkers.
But there was this time where you and Russell had died, or maybe you and Cesar had. I think it was you and Russell.
Figures. We're the weakest link.
We're trying to run, and I turn around, and there's 3 of them on me. And so I'm trying to type in the code to get reinforcement. I hear Cesar bringing one of y'all back. I'm trying to throw the other one, and I dive, and I hit this sand dune, and I start rolling down the side. My character starts rolling down the side of the hill, and he won't get up. He's just in the animation.
No, I watched that. I was dead. Hill. Yes, I saw that.
And these 3 bugs with their freaking stabby mantis arms start running down after me, and they all just start stabbing me to death.
They were tagging your ass. Your character was like rolling sideways, like fire rolling, and these things are just tagging your ass the whole way down. I'm like, damn, Brant, you can't even get up. You can't even get away from them.
No, I couldn't get up. I couldn't do a thing. And then it might have been that one. We were trying to get off the damn planet, and Russell got called back in, and all of a sudden Cesar's like, "Oh my god, the damn dropship!" Because you got to get picked up to get taken off the planet. Yeah. And at the end of your mission.
And there's an achievement for completing the mission and not getting evac'd. I have yet to do that.
And so we're waiting. We're calling Russell back in. He comes back in, but Cesar looks up in the sky. He said, "Oh, the dropship just exploded on my screen." And Russell got like landed on almost by the ship. He's like stuck in it and like gyrating. Cesar's looking at an empty screen. He's streaming. We're looking at it. He goes, guys, look at my stream. Look at my stream, because we're saying, get in the ship, man. Get in the ship. Me and Richard got in the ship, no problem. He goes, there's no ship on my screen. Look at the stream. And they're literally
running around. They're running around in circles.
So Russell's just sitting there like vibrating, gyrating in the ship, but he's not in it. The ship finally took off.
Yeah.
And
so we're
at the bottom.
We're all able to connect still.
Not evac'd. Yeah.
And then when we got to the back to the ship, Russell and Cesar are like off to the side, like congratulating. Off to the side. There's some weird matchmaking still. Like we may not be not connecting to a server, but there's still some weird matchmaking involved. I feel like there's times where specifically the 3 of us before Russell got on there, if I didn't back out and then come back in, we couldn't launch. Like it needed me to. Times. And then I feel like as much as I've praised the PlayStation Portal, there was about a 30-minute section where Cesar and I were trying to play together, and my Portal and everything looked like it would work, but I could not play with Cesar. It didn't work, and I was like, fuck this. I've got 30 more minutes. I'm not fucking with this portal. I turned it off, and I came down here to the PS5 natively, and I just connected to his game. It just worked. And then prior to that, the portal had worked perfectly, like flawlessly. And he heard me through the microphone, and we were impressed with the microphone capability on the portal. He's like, dude, I don't know that you're not on the headset. It sounds like you're right there. And then all of a sudden, the next time we tried that, it just straight up did not work on the portal. And I would get, the two errors I would get is failed to connect and unable to connect. So between both trying to go through the Helldivers client and also the PlayStation, like the overall ecosystem of PlayStation to just join a game, that also did not work. And also just invite to game. I could not invite Cesar to a game.
Yeah.
And
there have been several times where I've jumped in, y'all said you were playing, and I open up the menu, and it doesn't even show you guys online. You either don't pop up at all, or it will say your name and offline, and you only show up in recent players. So I have to go into my friends list, click on one of y'all's names, see that you're playing, and it pops up that I can join your game. You're joinable, so I have to go through like my friends list to join y'all rather than the in-game menus. And I've had to do that 3 or 4 times, I feel like.
It seems like, for some reason, if I drop and you join and then I come in after that, we're good. It's like I'm the weakest link or something. I don't know what the term is. It just doesn't work right. Helldivers 2 is a hell of a game. It sold at least one system that I know of and a PlayStation Plus subscription, which is the real moneymaker, right?
Yep.
We said he got it for 2 months. Remember that?
He's got a year that he's trying to iron out with either Aniba or whoever he bought that PlayStation Plus code through. But it's, I mean, I have to re-up too in the next couple weeks, at least to Essential to keep playing with everybody. It's good. I saw the CEO of Arrowhead Studios said over the past weekend they had 800,000 plus players on servers, and that's not something they ever even predicted, and they were able to manage, so they're making it work. This podcast is brought to you by Helldivers 2. I was Buish, friend of the show, Buish was talking about, well, maybe it'll come to PlayStation, Xbox. And then the most recent time I booted the game, it did the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe PlayStation thing with like the spinning triangle and circle and X and square. And I'm like,
Studios.
I'm like, I don't know about that. It might be a while.
I mean, at least not anytime
unless they diversify and want to spread that out and use, again, we're talking about a game that came out that had server issues right off the rip, right? Who better to diversify that IP and maybe bring in client base and server assistance than Microsoft, right? That's the sort of things you start looking at. Like, why would you not include all these other players? So maybe that's something that comes down the pipeline later, but they haven't touched on that as of yet. All right, you guys got anything else you want to add?
No. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this week, and we will catch you next week. Bye.
See you.